She never thought you'd actually leave. She was convinced that you'd always stay, no matter how she treated you. But now that you're gone, every silent moment and every blank message thread serves as a persistent reminder of the man she let slip away. This isn't just simple regret, it's the painful realization that she'll likely never encounter someone like you again. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly why women regret losing high-value men, and more importantly, how you can transform that truth into your most powerful strength. What you're about to hear will forever shift the way you view yourself, so don't miss a second. Number 1, the power of walking away. When a man decides to walk away, it sends shockwaves through every past interaction he's had with that woman. But what's actually happening in that moment? Let's break it down. First off, walking away is a powerful act of self-respect. Most men are too afraid to take this step because they fear losing her for good. They believe that by holding on more tightly or chasing harder, they can somehow win her back. But here's the truth. Chasing only decreases your perceived value. Walking away sends the message, I'm enough, with or without you. It's not merely an action, it's a bold declaration of your worth. That kind of confidence is magnetic. Second, walking away forces her to confront a reality she never saw coming. She believed she had control, that no matter what she did, you'd always be there. But now the tables have turned. Suddenly, she's the one left wondering. That uncertainty is powerful. It creates the space she needs to feel your absence and question her behavior. Third, when you walk away, you disrupt the emotional cycle she's used to. Most people go on autopilot in relationships. She does something hurtful, and you respond. But when you don't respond, when you step back completely, you break that pattern. Now she has to start thinking of you differently. That's exactly when the regret begins to take root. Finally, walking away isn't just about her. It's also about you. It's about taking back your time, your focus, and your energy. You stop giving yourself to someone who doesn't truly value you and start investing in your own growth. That's what makes a man high value. Remember, walking away is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of her seeing you in a light she never considered before. Number 2, why women regret losing high-value men. Regret is a strong emotion, and it doesn't come from nowhere. When a woman loses a high-value man, the regret she experiences is deep, and in many cases, irreversible. But why does this happen? First, because high-value men are rare. Let's be real. Most men are either too needy, too insecure, or too comfortable. A high-value man stands out because he's locked in on his purpose, his goals, and his growth. He isn't chasing validation because he already knows his own worth. So when a woman loses a man like that, she's not just losing a boyfriend, she's losing an anchor, a motivator, someone who made her want to be better. Second, the regret is driven by comparison. After you're gone, she'll meet other men, and here's the kicker. They won't measure up. They won't have your confidence, your drive, or your emotional control. With every new encounter, she'll be reminded of what she had and what she gave up. This kind of comparison isn't even intentional. It's just what happens when someone exceptional walks out of your life. Third, high-value men offer emotional steadiness. In a world filled with chaos, that kind of grounding is priceless. You weren't just someone she could count on. You were someone who made her feel heard, safe, and respected. Losing that leaves a void that's hard to fill. She might try to replace you, but deep down, she knows it's not the same. Lastly, women regret losing high-value men because the effects are long-lasting. Most relationships fade quickly, but the memory of being with a high-value man sticks. She'll remember how you made her feel, the lessons you taught her, and the person she became when she was with you. That kind of impact doesn't disappear, and that's what makes the regret cut so deep. Number 3, the psychological ripple effect of distance. Distance does something remarkable. It creates space for reflection. And in that space, your value doesn't just remain, it multiplies. Let's break down why. First, distance activates the scarcity principle. When something becomes less available, its perceived value increases. By pulling back, you stop being easily accessible. Suddenly, she starts wondering where you are, who you're with, and why you're no longer chasing her. That curiosity quickly grows into longing, and longing turns into regret. Second, distance forces her to face her own emotions. When you're always around, she doesn't need to think about how she feels. But when you're gone, she has no choice. The space you leave behind isn't just physical, it's emotional, and it makes her realize just how much you added to her life. Third, distance changes the power dynamic. In most relationships, the person who cares less tends to have more control. By creating space, you're showing emotional self-mastery. You're not begging for attention, and that restraint makes you far more attractive. It's in that shift where her perception of you starts to evolve. Finally, distance is the true test of her feelings. If she genuinely cared, the space will make that clear. She'll begin to appreciate all the things she overlooked, and that appreciation will slowly turn into regret. But here's what's important. You're not stepping back to manipulate her. You're stepping back to protect your energy and prioritize your growth. Her regret is merely a reflection of your elevated worth. Number 4, the power of being irreplaceable. If you want her to regret losing you, you have to understand what makes someone truly irreplaceable. And here's the truth. It's not about money, looks, or even social status. It's about the emotional footprint you leave behind. First, being irreplaceable starts with integrity. A man who stands by his values, even when it's inconvenient, is a man who earns lasting respect. She might not always agree with you, but she will remember your unwavering strength. Those qualities are rare, and once they're gone, she'll struggle to find them again. Second, emotional intelligence sets you apart. While most men either hide their emotions or get overwhelmed by them, a high-value man understands his feelings and communicates with clarity. That emotional depth creates a rare bond, and when you're no longer there, she'll realize how hard it is to find someone who truly gets her. Third, being irreplaceable means bringing value into her life. Not by doing everything for her, but by inspiring her, supporting her dreams, and challenging her to evolve. When you're gone, it's not just a partner she's lost, it's someone who made her life richer in ways she never fully appreciated until after the fact. Lastly, being irreplaceable is about leaving behind a legacy. The memories, the insights, the experiences you shared, these are what linger. She might move on with someone new, but your influence will always echo in the back of her mind. That's the kind of regret that stays. It's not just about what she lost, but what her future could have looked like with you in it. Number 5, how to reclaim your power and move forward. Now here's the most important part of this entire message. Regret should never be your goal. Your goal should be to reclaim your power and focus on evolving into the best version of yourself. Let me explain why. First, stop looking for validation. Too many men base their self-worth on how they're seen by women. But when you detach from that need, you unlock your true potential. You're no longer living to impress, you're living to fulfill your own purpose. Second, channel your energy into growth. Whether that means hitting the gym, launching a new business, or mastering a craft, every step you take towards self-improvement raises your value. You're not trying to prove her wrong anymore, you're proving yourself right. Third, surround yourself with people who elevate you. Your circle matters. Choose mentors, friends, and communities that challenge you to rise higher. The influence of your environment can either limit you or launch you forward. Finally, adopt an abundance mindset. There are billions of people in the world and endless opportunities to grow, to connect, and to win. By focusing on what's ahead instead of what you've lost, you change your energy, and that shift starts attracting everything you truly want. Always remember, the best revenge isn't making her miss you. It's building a life so powerful, so fulfilling, that her regret becomes irrelevant. Number 6, why absence makes the heart grow fonder. You've heard the saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But let's dig into why that's true. First, absence creates contrast. When you're always around, she gets used to your presence. It becomes routine. But once you step back, that absence highlights everything she took for granted. Your presence, your humor, your consistency. Suddenly those little things become impossible to ignore. Second, absence intensifies emotions. Familiarity can dull the emotional connection. But when you're gone, emotions come to the surface. She starts replaying memories in her mind, thinking about the bond you shared, and the emotions tied to those memories begin to feel even stronger. It's not just about missing your company, it's about realizing how much you truly meant. Third, distance once again shifts the power dynamic. When you're constantly available, she feels secure in her control. But when you step away, it disrupts her sense of certainty. She starts to wonder, did she underestimate you? That doubt is powerful. Lastly, absence builds mystique. Human nature is drawn to mystery. When you're no longer easily accessible, you become harder to define and more intriguing. She'll start imagining your life without her, wondering how you're still confident and focused. And the more she imagines, the more your value increases in her mind. Number 7. The role of scarcity in relationships. Scarcity is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, and it's just as relevant in relationships. Let's look at how it works. First, people naturally value what's rare. When you're always available, your presence starts to lose its weight. But when you focus on your mission, on your self-development, and you become less accessible, you introduce scarcity. And that makes her see you differently, not as replaceable, but as exceptional. Second, scarcity creates urgency. When something seems abundant, there's no pressure to act. But when it feels like that thing might be gone forever, the urgency kicks in. By prioritizing yourself, you create a scenario where she feels she needs to act quickly before she loses her chance. Third, scarcity shifts the attention dynamic. When you're always pouring your energy into her, she gets used to it. But the moment you stop, she starts wondering where that attention went. That shift forces her to think about you more, and that's when regret often creeps in. Finally, scarcity redefines your worth. Think of diamonds. They're valued not just for how they look, but for how rare they are. By introducing scarcity, you're saying, I'm not like the rest. And that's a message that lingers long after you've walked away. Number 8. How to use emotional detachment to your advantage. Emotional detachment doesn't mean being cold, it means staying in control. And when used correctly, it becomes one of your greatest strengths. First, detachment protects your self-worth. When you're overly invested in someone who doesn't reciprocate, it's easy to lose your sense of value. By detaching, you create boundaries, and those boundaries remind you of what you truly deserve. Second, emotional detachment creates mystery. People are drawn to those who are calm, unshaken, and independent. When you show that you're not emotionally reactive, she starts wondering, what's going on in your head? Why are you so composed? That intrigue makes you more attractive. Third, detachment lets you redirect your focus. Instead of obsessing over what she's thinking or doing, you're putting your energy into your goals, your health, your business, your future. That kind of focus is what sets high-value men apart. Finally, detachment flips the script. When you stop chasing and stop needing her validation, she starts questioning her own role. You're not there because you need her. You're there because you choose to be. And that kind of power speaks louder than anything you could say. Number 9. Why time is your greatest ally. Time is one of the most underappreciated tools in relationships, yet it can be your greatest ally. First, time brings perspective. When you step away, it gives her the mental space to truly reflect on what you brought into her life, on the moments that mattered, and on the impact you had. Second, time heals emotional wounds. If there were arguments, misunderstandings, or emotional baggage, time has a way of softening those memories. The negative feelings fade and the positive ones rise to the surface. That's when regret quietly starts to grow. Third, time fuels imagination. When she doesn't know what you're doing, who you're with, or how you're feeling, her mind starts to fill in the blanks. And let's be real, imagination often paints a rosier picture than reality. She starts remembering the best parts of being with you and questioning whether she made a mistake. Lastly, time shows your strength. By investing that time in yourself, you demonstrate that you're not dependent on her presence. You're proving that you can thrive on your own. And that kind of independence? That's magnetic. Time isn't something you sit around waiting with. It's a tool you use. It works silently in the background, amplifying your value every day you choose to focus on yourself. Now you understand why she'll regret losing you far more than you think, and how that truth should fuel your growth, not your ego. The power is in your hands. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.